My Personal Politics. You're listening to a snippet of a podcast I did with THA Talks. To find the original podcast, you can click on the link in the description, or you can find it here on my channel. Make sure you subscribe and join in the debate below.
Also, with your earlier videos, and when you were in the period straight after the EU referendum and how things looked to you after that, and how that fed into a video you made earlier this year, where I think it was election day, wasn't it? And you were agonising as a Labour voter who voted Leave. How could you describe how you saw things from before the referendum campaign to the point where you made that rather anguished plea for all the people who are just confused by politics now, and which of course has given us this confused general election result?
Okay, so my personal politics is more kind of Liberal Democrat. But as I voted for Leave in the Brexit referendum, and because of the whole student tuition fees thing, I've been moving more towards other parties. Now, for me, the Conservative Party represented austerity. As for the Labour Party, they represented the Iraq War, and also when Gordon Brown was in power. He was in power during the 2008 banking crisis, and he borrowed a lot, and it left us in a bad financial situation. So he got associated with that.
Yes, and of course Brown. Although a lot of people maybe don't totally recognise this, it was Brown who was in the hot seat at the time the decisions had to be made to put in place the bailout package and rescue the banks, which was done through the European Union with the Stability Pact mechanism. And although Labour didn't enact austerity, policy was authorised under Labour, and if Labour had won in 2010, they wouldn't have been able to not do something about it, would they?
No. So I saw this pattern of kind of spending and saving, and I was seeing like this growing sense that the establishment ultimately wasn't working for us anymore. So for me to vote for the establishment and to vote for the Conservatives and Theresa May felt like a betrayal of that. But at the same time, I wanted to see Brexit enacted, and I wanted to see the kind of just things just done smoothly and strong and stable, as Theresa May put it.
That begs an interesting question, actually, there, Chris, in terms of there has been confusion over exactly what Labour's Brexit policy was going into the general election. And in terms of the paperwork, it was try to keep the advantages of the single market. But in terms of Corbyn, it seemed to be take Britain out of the single market. Which did you think was the case when you decided to vote for Labour? Was it stay in the single market in some way, keep the benefits, or was it leave the single market?
For me, the single market wasn't as important as controlling immigration. That should be important, and ending the bureaucracy of the European Union. Right. In other words, taking all our laws back into UK government hands. Now, both parties were campaigning for that, so that I didn't mind. But most of all, I wanted to be outside of the customs union, so that the UK can borrow from countries outside of the European area freely without European permission.
Yes.
And for me, it was more about just making sure that, number one, we're economically stable, and number two, we're politically stable. Now, none of those things have happened. And that's why I made the video, How Britain Broke. But can I just put things in perspective? I watched the Dunkirk movie, Christopher Nolan movie, last night, and we are nowhere near as broken as those times.
No, I agree with you completely. We're not. It's a perception, isn't it?
So for me to say we're broke basically just means that we're not going economically and politically as smoothly as we could be, but actually we're not doing too badly. And I don't mean to play the country down either. I think there is hope